If you end up in a street fight situation, self-defense situation, you're squared off against somebody, the last thing you want to do is think you have boxing gloves on and can just stand there and high guard the way you would in a fight. It's not going to work. I'm going to show you why it won't work, and I'm going to show you some great alternatives to keep yourself safe. Today we're talking more about street self-defense as opposed to combat sports. And I was thinking, that's interesting. The people who train self-defense, it's very often about blocking shots, creating distance, all defense stuff. When we do combat sports, it's more about throwing the offense, making sure that we are really good at this aspect, being aggressive. But combat sports athletes very rarely work more than like 10% defense. It's so important. If you guys are looking to up your defense, make sure you head over to Strike Ready. There's a link down below and you can grab my offense plus my defense course right now for the spring special, which is just $99. Save yourself $200. Now, you do not want to high guard in a street self-defense situation. When we look at a glove like this, there's so much cushion here. This allows us to put our hands up and protect ourselves, right? This does not hurt. When I start going to a smaller glove, let's say these karate combat gloves, which are smaller than UFC gloves. How do I know? I got the Bellator ones that I've fought in. I've put on the UFC gloves and I've fought in these as well. These are tiny, so thin through here. But the problem with a high guard is number one, you don't have a cushion coming towards you, right? If I'm getting hit with this, it's much comfier than somebody coming with a bare knuckle. Bare knuckle is scary. But number two, my surface area is much smaller to block. That's another concern. The biggest concern, however, is the fact that I do not have my own cushion on this knuckle area. Not up here, but right here. This is the area that connects to our forehead or to our eyebrows when we put our hands up and we go to this guard. But normally, with a boxing gloves, there's cushion there. So it's great. I'm protected. Once I take these gloves, or I don't have any glove, and I put my hands right to here, when somebody hits me, my own hands are going to do damage. How do I know this? In my first karate combat fight, I did not adjust my style dramatically. I kept my hands up here, I took a couple shots, and I ended up getting cut. My own hand cut me. So I know that this high guard is not great. Alternatively, you could do a high guard with open palms. This will give you a little bit more protection, but it's still not going to be great, especially in that self-defense situation on the street when you're like this and somebody's coming in and actually punching you with bare knuckle. You're either going to get really messed up, you're going to have a bunch of bruises all over you, or you're just going to get straight up knocked out, because even being here and having somebody come and hit you, for the average person, it's going to be really bad. And we have to avoid that idea that having a boxing glove on is the same as a 4-ounce glove, or having a boxing glove on is the same as no glove. They're very, very different. So what are the changes that we want to make to ensure we don't get knocked out when somebody's across from us trying to throw single hands with no glove? And that's the important part. It's very often going to be a single punch. We have to be aware of that. When we have a high guard up, very often we're doing the high guard because somebody's coming in with a combo. People in the street are very unlikely to set up and be going wah, 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 like that. It's more going to be So we don't have to worry about having our hands up and blocking multiple punches in a row. We have to be worried about those big shots. Now, one of the alternatives that I want to share with you first is elbow blocking. We can have our hands up here if we want, still maintain that high guard, but when we see that punch come, in the time they go, we just have to get that elbow up to block. Now what we're trying to do here is, number one, if the shot comes around, we've created a padding. a protection where they're going to hit the bicep or hit the forearm, and there's no chance of them sneaking behind and catching us in the head, because from this position here, I don't have much coverage. If I put on a boxing glove, look how much coverage I get from the side. So much more than this. So, because I have less coverage, I have to create that myself. I'm going to simply do that by reaching back and grabbing. But at the same time, when I've done that motion, I now block straight punches up the front. And if somebody catches my elbow with their fist, they're going to probably break their hand. It's a great solution. Now, in a normal fight, in the ring, you may not want to be going like this all the time because your body's very open. But tell me the last time you saw a street fight video or a self-defense video where the person here went body, body. They always headhunt. So you can keep your hands up like this and just elbow block. Very protected. I block with one side, my other hand stays up. This hand is loaded to come back, or it's ready to transition to the other side. From a normal high guard, we just stand in position here and make micro adjustments. On the street, we're going to be wanting to elbow block. And I will use these elbow blocks if I end up against somebody in a sparring match where they're going really hard, they're trying to rip my head off, and I'm just going, you know what, I want to be extra safe. I'll let them burn themselves out, and I'll just get those high elbows going. This is a great solution for street self-defense, and it is a little bit closer to this position, which you might be more comfortable with anyway. However, a great alternative to all of that is to let your hands relax a little bit more. Don't worry about having your hands way up here. Have them out a little further. And be very heavy on that front foot, because the heavier you are on the front foot, the easier it is to back up. If I go to something like a Muay Thai stance and now I want to back upwards, how am I going to do that? Aside from shifting my weight so I can push. So if I get a little heavier on this front foot, can kind of keep my back foot a little bit lighter, you can see here, I have my hands out, ready to try and talk them down, ready to catch punches if need be. But as soon as I see that shot, instead of going, okay, I'm going to sit here and block a couple of them, make space. My hands come out, so if they start crowding the distance too much, I can just sort of stiff arm them in the chest. But if any straight punches come, I have those blocked, and I create the distance. Usually, in my experience, if you shut somebody down once or twice without punching them back, they're going to kind of give up, right? They miss, and then they miss, and all of a sudden you don't have to worry about taking shots off the forehead, having shots miss, slip through the high guard, getting damaged. You don't have to worry about getting clean knocked out, and you make space. So I would suggest you either go about elbow blocking, or you go about creating space with a slightly longer, higher guard position. I think both of these are much smarter than just employing a high guard here, which works so well in boxing, works so well in kickboxing. But once we start getting to the other fight sports, there's a reason you don't see the MMA fighters do this. There are some anomalies. Charles Oliveira, right? He has hands kind of around here. When somebody starts engaging, he just puts them right up. So it can work, but is the smartest solution for the average person? No, absolutely not. So hopefully you guys took something away from this. If you're going to play around with those elbow blocks, just remember the hand comes behind the ear and connects tight to the head. Any space is more problematic because there's more areas for people to slip their hand through. We clasp it really tight. We bring that elbow up the center so we're protected here, but I can still see my opponent and I can shift from side to side, always keeping one eye on the target and then getting used to countering back. Block, counter, block, counter, block, counter. Something like that is what we would want to see.